Set summer in motion with the most adventurous Honda vehicles yet, like the Passport and Pilot Trail Sport, and the Ridgeline, built for better off-road performance and engineered for more adventure. Summer's here. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 3.9% APR on a 2023 Honda Pilot, a 2.9% APR on a 2023 Passport, and a 0.9% APR on a 2023 Ridgeline.
Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or visit your local Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details.
Kind of feels like our very own Barbenheimer moment, this. A crossover that we've had in the back of our mind for years but could never bring to reality. Until now. Welcome everyone to the Inside Line F1 podcast. We're in the top 1.5% of most heard podcasts globally on Spotify, along with being the longest running and number one podcast on Formula One in India. My name is Samal Arora. I'm the host of the Indian Racing League on Star Sports, and among other things, I am a huge Ravi Shastri fanboy. I think you should know this by this point. Along with me for this episode will be Kunal Shah, an F1 expert and consultant for the Viaplay network in Norway. He's also the former marketing head of the Force India F1 team. For those of you who are not quite aware of who Ravi Shastri is, this is going to be a fun intro. Hear me out. Ravi Shastri is the cool uncle at every party who all the youngsters surround as if they were underneath a wisdom tree just to listen to his stories and insights. He loves partying and living life, but was still one of the most committed and determined athletes of his time. He loves speaking out his mind and being unapologetically himself, while also being an extremely considerate listener and a clear thinker, as you shall find out in this episode. He's a man who has been discussed and loved in every Indian household for generations, but every generation knows him for a different role. Did I tell you anything about his versatility yet? But the headlines. Ravi Shastri was an instrumental part of India's World Cup and Cricket World Championship wins in the 80s. He is one of the leading and most memorable voices of Indian cricket, with his calls on commentary over moments like India's 2011 World Cup win etched firmly in every Indian's heart and mind. But crucially for this episode, he was also one of the most successful coaches of the Indian cricket team in history, a role as significant in India as the head of Ferrari in Italy. So, how did Ravi manage so many high-performance athletes at varying stages of their life and career to achieve such a remarkable success, especially in the toughest form of the game, Test cricket? And how would Ravi coach or advise present-day Formula One drivers in their career stages that they find themselves in, like Charles Leclerc being stuck in a different Ferrari that is completely inefficient at the moment, a veteran like Daniel Ricciardo returning to the sport to regain his confidence, a lot like Virat Kohli, and also someone like Max Verstappen, whose biggest challenge at the moment is staying hungry after so much dominance. Being the hardcore F1 fan that he is, Ravi was very insightful and passionate on giving us his perspective on the same. Trust me, cricket fan or not, you're going to love listening to Ravi talk Formula One. So, in classic Ravi Shastri style, the news from the centre is that this will be an epic episode. Let's begin. My God, Sakshat Prabhu. But it's so incredible to hear you, sir. थोड़ा मतलब बचपन से सोचा था कि एक बार आपसे बात होगी कभी ना कभी. I actually want to blame you. You're a bit of a problem because the last 2 nights I haven't been able to sleep. And if I say this to any other person that I've been dreaming of Ravi Shastri, they'll be like, yeah, you should be dreaming of women at this age. But it's I need to blame you for my lack of sleep, sir. That's a bit of a problem. Now, and it's interesting to know that you're actually quite a Formula One fan. Do you know, sir, that quite a lot of people have written in saying that, okay, I never knew that you were a Formula One fan. And it's changed the way they look at you. Quite a fair bit of our listeners have been going crazy about that fact.
You know, just to let them know, my interest in Formula One started over 4 decades ago, right? I'm talking of the early 80s. When I played professional cricket in England, when I played league cricket, I played county cricket. Every Sunday off, 2 o'clock would be the Formula One kicking off. So if it was off, and if we were in a pub having the Sunday roast or getting ready for the Sunday roast, it would be Martin Brundle, and 2 o'clock would be tee off time, right? And then you had the big five at that time. You had Prost, You had Piquet, you had Mansell, you had Niki Lauda, and my favorite, who really got me into the sport, Ayrton Senna. So the big five were out there every Sunday, and as often you got an opportunity to see it live, you would see it live. If not, you would always catch the highlights. And we would many times get a chance to see it live, because if we were playing on a Sunday, county cricket or league cricket, in the changing rooms or around the changing area, the television sets would be on, and Formula One would be on those screens. So, you'd pick it up. There would be a lot of guys in the team who would follow it deeply. Some would from the outside. But, I've always believed personalities do make a sport. And when you have great personalities, be it in any sport, they make people, get into that direction and start following it. Whether it was Muhammad Ali in boxing, whether it was Bog, McEnroe in tennis at that time, whether it was, the great footballers of that era, whether it's Kempes, Villas, whoever was playing, and when it came to the Formula One drivers, especially Senna, for his daring, his skill on the track, and amongst all the Formula One drivers, he came across as a different bloke. He came across as an entertainer, because he took his chances, but he took one chance too many, unfortunately.
Do you often resonate with a certain amount of Formula One drivers yourself? Because you, of course, are one of those characters and personalities that made so many people fall in love with cricket. And you've mentioned these drivers, right? Drivers who have a certain sort of character, certain sort of skill and ability to charm people. Do you ever look at any Formula One driver of the past or the present and be like, okay, I somewhat relate to him? Because a lot of people, they do feel that you're similar to a couple of Formula One drivers on the grid today. I won't tell you which ones now, but we'll get to it.
No, I would.
We'll get to it.
Tell me. Okay. No, because it, the pace, the adrenaline, when you're in the heat of battle, these are things that have to come to the fore if you want to compete against the best in the world. And these guys have minuscule of seconds, to beat another bloke, and they're all as good. And then it's a second or two that separates each one of them. And then at that speed, to have that kind of daring, to take those chances around the bends is never easy. So, when you saw someone like a Senna, someone like a Schumacher, someone like a Max today, or even a Hamilton at his pomp, you admire these guys. You admire these guys for what they do, the way they draw people into the sport, make them watch the sport. And for them to be able to get that viewership factor going, day in, day out, it isn't easy. So definitely when it comes to, getting close, getting, similar vibes to a sport that you play and watch, I think Senna was, for me, the closest. He really ignited passion. It was like adrenaline.
And I just want to go back to your stories initially of when you got to introduce to Formula One in the first place. Obviously, I'm supposing that was a time where you were playing for Glamorgan back in the county championship. But then, did you get a chance to physically visit a Grand Prix at around that time? Because you were playing in Wales. The races normally happen in Brands after Silverstone, right? So that's...
Yeah. It's in Silverstone. No, I didn't get a chance because more often than not, we would play on Sundays. But I'll tell you another thing that got me going in Formula One was the commentary of Martin Brundle, right? Martin would rev it up. He would rev it up and, give it a nice little whack, which got people going. It took television to another level, people wanting to watch the sport. I think playing the sport is one thing. When people watch the sport, you need that background entertainment. You need that voice of a Brundle really, bulldozing through, just like Red Bull are bulldozing the circuit at the moment, and making you listen to him. So it was good. And and many have followed suit, since then. And for me, it helped because it helped me, understand what broadcasting is about. At some stage today or tomorrow, I will visit the broadcast center here. So hopefully, that'll give me, a fair idea. I've seen enough broadcasting boxes around my profession, around the globe, and some others, but it'll be good to see the Formula One.
Hang on. So are you seriously saying that you used to refer to Martin Brundle's work as a way of preparing for your cricket commentary as well? Because
No, I won't say preparing,
but stylistically, perhaps.
Sometimes yes, because when you grew up, there was not much television when you followed cricket. It was radio. So you'd follow the Johnsons, the Arletts, the McGilveries on radio. Similarly, when you watched other sport, the one that stood out was Martin Brundle, in Formula One, because he had to raise the pitch, because the noise on the circuit from the cars was that much.
Yeah.
That you had to go to another level. So he would ebb and flow. There was an ebb and flow in the way he spoke, which was fabulous. And I just said to myself, this could work in cricket as well. Why not?
And the news from the centre is that people love it.
And it has. To be honest, it has. Yeah, news from the centre. Breaking news from the centre. In Spa, it's raining. It's going to be tricky on the track, but these guys are champions. They're experts. They'll know how to negotiate the bends.
I love it. But this also makes me want to chat to you about what you really love about the sport, because you spoke of the characters, and they're definitely, let's say, brought out a little bit more in the modern day. We've obviously had a big documentary like Drive to Survive that's helped people get an insight. Do you feel something similar can also be done in the world of cricket as well? Because it's obviously limited to India, the Australia and England, but there are broader markets where the sport can be propagated, and these characters and personalities could potentially be exposed of.
Yes, and absolutely, you're damn right. Because Bodyline did that in cricket. When it came out. So similarly, these documentaries do make people watch. They get a better insight into the sport. They realize what it takes to be a champion in this sport. And, I relate Formula One to boxing in many ways, because there's a physical angle that doesn't exist in a lot of other sport, especially individual sport. When it comes to team sport and cricket, yes, you can be hit by a cricket ball that can be very serious and can put you in hospital, can knock you out. But in boxing, surely you're under attack all the time, right? In Formula One, you need steel, you need guts, you need clarity of thought, you need presence of mind. When you're doing things at that speed, in that split of a second, to make a decision. So decision making becomes absolutely critical, in a split of a second. So if you don't have that clarity of thought, you could be stumped.
Yep.
So that is what excites me about Formula One. That physical angle, that danger factor, yet which keeps the sportsman on edge, keeps the driver on edge, and doesn't allow him to rest on his laurels, because he knows a mistake at that speed in that profession could be pretty costly.
And I love that you follow the sport so deeply, because you've also told us that you're a Lewis Hamilton fan as well, apart from Senna. And he's become a household name through the documentaries and the likes. But in the last few years, sir, we've seen quite a lot of people becoming Formula One fans. I'm sure your story has gone for a lot longer than that. But have you seen people in your circles embrace Formula One, especially in the Indian cricket team when you were a coach there?
Plenty. A lot of them watch it. A lot of them watch it very closely. Sachin was a big Schumacher fan in his time. And I know that for sure. There are a lot of others who, watch it very closely. But, I learned more about Formula One through my dear friend Gautam Singhania, who drove in Formula 3, and he has all the gizmos, all the cars. He'll tell you, A to Z about a part of the car that exists in a Formula One. So you in conversations, you learned a lot. I met a lot of drivers too. I met Mika, with him a lot. Mika is a good friend, I missed him in London recently, Mika Hakkinen, but it would have been good to catch up with him. So you keep a track. It happens with all sportsmen. When you play at a certain level, and when you've coached a national team, your eye is on the ball for other sports as well. I love tennis. I watch a lot of tennis, but nothing gives you more. Doesn't get that adrenaline going that quickly as Formula One. When you see those cars going zoop, 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 and at that pace, it's mind-boggling, and it's respect. It's a lot of respect. When you watch it, there's a lot of respect for those drivers because, you think you sit in a car and you go at pace, you push the accelerator, off it goes. The strength in your forearms, that neck has to be like a real rock, to take that pressure. It's unbelievable. So they go through a different kind of training. They go through a different kind of, to develop that mindset to be able to do what they do that quickly.
Actually, interesting that you mentioned Mika Hakkinen. I'm just so curious. What do you folks normally talk about? Because as athletes, there are so many synergies, right? Do you often tend to discuss what's similar between your sport and his as well, quite a fair bit?
We never talk sportsmen. We always talk off the field stuff.
Okay.
Then the beer goes down better. The banter is better. And that is not for your consumption. That is amongst sportsmen. What stays on the park, it will stay on the park. But it's fun. And it's pretty similar. The idiosyncrasies are pretty similar.
Well, it may take quite a fair bit to outdrink Mika Hakkinen, even for someone of your stature. He's Finnish after all.
No. No, you don't want to go that long, because they can consume. They can consume, spirit. It's always played in the right spirit. But when spirit goes down, it's fun.
I can imagine.
Then the stories, then the banter, the sledging, everything comes out, and it's good.
Oh, that's always been a dream of mine, to actually listen to you share a story in person in a situation like that. Because even now you're talking about Formula One, I know it's 20, 30 years of broadcasting that's coming together and culminating in this to talk about a sport that you're not 100% in day in and day out. But it's so fascinating to hear anyway. But that is why I want to talk to you about Ferrari, because it's your favorite team. I suspect it's your daughter's favorite team as well. I hear she's a big Charles Leclerc fan. But times are not...
She's a big fan. She's been jumping up and down the roof from yesterday, once he took pole position. And I kept needling her, Max is right behind, he's doing the fastest lap. No, he's got 5 points, he's got to go 5 behind because of the penalty, and kept doing. So it's banter, it's sledging, I was Australia yesterday, she was England, and just going at her. But Ferrari, for many reasons, because Schumacher set the bar that high. So when it came to individual driving and then what he did, it was with the over the years was fabulous. Of course, Leclerc is there. Charles is a young kid on the block, and he'll do well. I think along with Oscar.
Yeah.
Shastri, he's an Australian. He loves his cricket. I think you got to watch out for these youngsters. I always like to look out for youngsters in the sport. You'll have the Nadals, you'll have the Djokovic, you'll have the Federers who raise the bar in a sport. Like in Formula One, you've had the Hamiltons, you've had the the Maxes. They'll be there, the Schumachers, the Sennas. But you're always on the lookout for youngsters. You had Alcaraz, blazing Wimbledon this year. Similarly, you want to see some of these youngsters come on the circuit and blaze a trail pretty quickly.
But it's interesting you mentioned that, because Ferrari sort of have two drivers who are stuck in a team at the moment because it feels operationally inefficient. It's a job as high pressure as the job of the Indian cricket team's coach, something that you've done very successfully. Yes. Now, Ferrari are in the doldrums. They shouldn't be here, although they are on pole this weekend. But we all know Ferrari for being a team that can fight for championships and win and be full of glory and all that stuff. But if you were in that position, what are the 2 or 3 things that you would definitely fix from a team environment perspective? Because that's something that you had very well in your time as the coach of the Indian cricket team. I mean, you guys...
You know what? One of the best things I'm enjoying here, when you go, pit lane or, sit in the paddock lounge and listen to the experts. Everyone's expert there, with a couple of glasses in their hand and a couple of... drops go down, they're all experts. And they say, you need a better car. They need to fine tune. And I'm putting my coach's hat now. I said, I'm sure, Ferrari will be doing the same. And, they are going on and on, they have a better car. That's why they're doing so well. Max, it's his car, and it's all constant, this thing. But, obviously you got to have a ear, you got to listen. And you got to keep up with the Joneses. So I'm sure when there's a break after this race, they'll be fine-tuning on the car. They'll see what best they can do because they've got the drivers in the house who can do the job. as Leclerc showed yesterday.
Yeah.
With whatever car he has, he's in pole position, and he's got many pole positions this year. So it just adds another dimension where it says that if he has another car, what can he do? Those questions can be asked. So, you as a coach, then you're thinking as a player, if he gets those conditions, if he uses the right bat or just tweaks his game a little bit, he could be in business. So, those are the things you constantly, want to tinker with. At that level, it's fine tuning more than anything else. Particularly more when it comes to a car, it is fine tuning, and to see how it goes after that. Yeah. But you learn, you watch, you learn. You're always a student in the profession. Remember that there's someone better than you, someone out to get you, right? And they're going to make those adjustments and improvements to get ahead of you. So you got to be on guard all the time.
And actually, it's interesting you mentioned that, because one of the greats of the sport, the modern day greats, Daniel Ricciardo, has also come back. I'd love to know your perspective on his story, because a lot of it, I wouldn't say he's on the same level as Virat in terms of performance, but it feels similar, right? An athlete who's achieved greatness being burdened down, going back outside the sport and coming back and feeling refreshed. How would you coach a driver or an athlete of that sort? And what would be your game plan if they're so bogged down and losing confidence in that situation?
He's an Aussie, right?
He is indeed.
Yeah, so don't discount an Aussie. He'll come back. Ricardo might be the name, Daniel might be the first name, and he's Aussie, right? He'll come back. Right? They've got those. That country is a country where the competitive juices flow when it comes to sport. They don't like losing. They like challenges. They like to play it hard. So Daniel would know everything. He'd come back refreshed. He's a veteran. He's experienced. He'll know what it takes in a comeback to get things in order. And then you need a little bit of luck. You need the right engine, to sit behind, and a couple of wins early or a couple of good finishes early on can do wonders to your confidence.
And on the opposite end of the spectrum, coach, we have someone like Max Verstappen, someone who's dominating, right? And again, I've heard many athletes say that it's hard to keep your hunger alive when you're winning that much. How would you coach a driver of that sort who's winning everything, and then to the point he's gone on and made statements like, I may not be here forever? So do you feel that the hunger might be dropping? And so if you are a team principal...
that's a line used... That's a line used by many sportsmen. I might not. So whilst it lasts, make the most of it. It's at the moment, max, 5, max, 9. Okay. He's still hungry. He's just shown he's still hungry. He likes the food he's eating every Sunday. Every second Sunday he comes out. So he's, sticking to the same breakfast, same routine, and just piling it on.
Yeah, but I really want to draw parallels on that with the players that were a part.
You get parallels. You had Borg in our time winning 6 Wimbledons on the trot. Then you had Rafa winning it again. You had Nadal just killing Paris, winning one after the other. So it's the same mentality, and they are all individual sports. So that's where I am relating to Max as well. Because an individual sport, it's a different kind of drive. You don't depend on other teammates of yours, to be the number one team in the world. It is you. And once you get that drift of where you think you're ahead of the others, you want to keep that going as long as possible. Because when someone else gets that mental edge over you, then it becomes that bit harder. And when I say mental edge, it's just that belief. I can beat you. That's good enough for your opponent. So the next time you're on the park, once he knows he can beat you, then you got to be right up to your A game. So when you're hot, like Max is, then keep blowing hot, bro.
Have we just heard Ravi Shastri say the word bro? I never imagined that. I know you were cool and more Gen Z than most other cricketers of your generation.
I am not Gen Z. I am not Gen Z, my daughter. She'll know everything. Gen Z,
Are you not? Are you not? But hey, I need to talk to you about Gen Z, because in your time as the coach of the Indian cricket team, we obviously remember the famous Australian series of 2021. So many youngsters that you brought up into the team who performed at that level, right? And you've mentioned that you always are on the hunt for watching young athletes and young talents. We had Dr. Helmut Marko, the head of the Red Bull Driver Academy, on the show last week. And he said that with the younger drivers, you've always got to be super careful, watch what they're doing, see who they're performing with or what they're consuming in terms of information as well. But what's your style? If you were to run an academy of sorts with young athletes, not just racing drivers, how would you nurture them? What is the Ravi Shastri formula of building in young athletes?
Ravi Shastri will hate to change anyone's natural style. He'll tweak it a bit to the requirements of the team, but I'll hate to change anyone's natural style. Like if Rishabh Pant, who won us that series there, was instrumental in winning that series there, or a Pujara, or a Kohli, or a Rahane, or a Bumrah, if they have their strengths, there's an individual aspect that separates them from the others. Let them focus on their strengths. Keep that going. Never tinker with that. Now, I'll come to Pant. He's young. He's fearless. Okay. He has his style of playing. Very easy for you to, as a coach, say, use the word don't. I hate to use the word don't. I only use the word don't if I have an answer to that. I will never go to a player and tell him, your bat is not coming out right, you're not hitting the ball. I will never go and tell him just that and stop there, unless I have an answer to what he should be doing. So you don't have to be in a position as coach just to prove that because you're a coach, you have to go and say something. Shut up if you have nothing to say. Or if you don't have an answer as to what should be done, say nothing. Now, in the case of Pant, that was important. Allow him to carry on with his natural game, believe in himself. End of the series, Pant took everyone's pants down. As simple as that. So, the coach was happy as Larry.
But in the moments that they're down, young drivers, young athletes in general often tend to look up to someone for an answer. What's it like, right? Because if you're a young athlete looking for some solution, and sometimes you have to go and tell them, buddy, I can't tell you anything, or I can't give you the secret sauce. How must it feel like for an athlete? Because you're in that tricky little precarious spot, right? But that could make you or break you as an athlete.
It's again, it's up to the individual. It's you have to understand as a coach the mindset of each individual. In Formula One, it's different. You have to understand the mindset of your driver and your team that you work with. You got to understand temperaments. You got to understand what will get a guy going. What would rattle him. Sometimes you got to rattle the guy, to get the best out of him. But in team sport, you got to see where it's done and where could be a better place it can be done. Like in the sense, do you have a go at the guy in front of the whole team? Or you take him aside individually and have a chat with him. Those things are important. But like I said, you got to have a solution to be able to go and say something. But sometimes, there are players who have tremendous self-confidence, and they have tremendous confidence in their natural ability. I'll refer to someone like Pant again, because, he was a game changer in those 2-3 years he played. Now, he would go and play. So when you play in that fashion, like the way he plays, you could be pulling your hair as a coach sometimes, seeing the way he gets out, right? So my theory with him was, I'm bored seeing the way you're getting out. I say, there's no fun in this. No, give me something more exciting. I know you're taking risks, 90% risk. Take 96% risk and get out. Show me something different. And sure enough, he loved it. He's saying, yeah, this is now another way of thinking. So, if a guy is getting out slogging or getting out in the same manner, so why don't you try reverse sweeping and getting out? Get out 6 times that way. Let's see what happens. But it's just a change in mindset. It worked with him. He did wonders. So it's each one is different. Like, for example, a Pujara is more, his mindset is more the studious kind. So you got to be careful what you say and what you don't say. Similarly, in Formula One, there could be a driver's personality. Hamilton could be totally different from Max. Max could be totally different from Charles Leclerc or an Oscar Piastri. So you got to understand age then becomes important. Experience is important. That guy has been on the circuit for 10 years. How do you speak to him as opposed to a guy who's just, 2-3 years old in the circuit? So it's a lot of things. And you're there doing that job because, you've got that experience and you understand it. So I'm sure they're all...
Coach, you would be an incredible team principal, huh? If you had the chance in Formula One. Would you ever consider something like that? And would you want to be a team principal of Ferrari or some other team, if that comes to mind?
You can be a team principal. You were a team principal of the Indian cricket team for 7 years.
It's a lot like being the boss of Ferrari, isn't it?
And, it is. And we have a population of 1.4 billion only,
It's not much.
So, we have a few experts, where you're judged every day of your life, where there's a gun at your head every day of your life, because you have to only thing you have to do is finish, not pole position. You have to win then on the Sunday. And every Sunday, so Max is the best for me, You go out there, win, you're safe, happy.
And win also with the right intent, because I've heard lots of people use that word quite a favorite.
Always intent. Otherwise, no point. If you don't go there to compete, don't go there with intent. Why waste your time getting into a beautiful car,
But it's so incredible to have you on the show, Ravi. It's been an amazing 30 minutes and it's flown by completely. And I just hope, fingers crossed, that we get to do this in person as well, hopefully sometime in Mumbai as well, when you're back home. So, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. And, I'm gonna now follow your guys' podcast regularly. I'm going to educate myself, right? And see how I can get better at it. And who knows? We might have another conversation soon. Meanwhile, fingers crossed, the weather in Spa improves and then things start moving pretty quickly. And tomorrow, at the finish, someone's going to go like a tracer bullet.
Love it. And who would you pick if you had to? I know the mind says Max. The heart must be somewhere else, right?
Yes. In sport, everyone likes an underdog. So like, I don't want to put the mockers on Max, but, I think the whole motor racing fraternity will be looking for someone new. They like challenges in sport, just like the Wimbledon final this year. As much as Djokovic, is popular, as much as he's loved, but you could see that whole crowd wanted a new winner. They wanted Alcaraz, to win. They wanted a new kid on the block, to just, challenge the best around. And that's the same thing in every sport. So I don't see anything different on Sunday.
Now, fingers crossed we get a really, really good showing. But Ravi, thank you for your time. And it has been incredible to hear your insights and stories on the Inside Line F1 podcast. Enjoy the weekend.
Pleasure. I like the word principle.
Not bad. That works out quite well. But maza aa gaya,
See you guys.
This was amazing.
Take care. Pleasure. Thanks, Jay. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye. Bye, Kunal. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.
Chalo, sir. Milte hain.
Bye.
And that was Ravi Shastri at its finest. People of Mumbai, if you are around and you love Formula One, please don't forget to check out our Inside Line F1 pit stops, our community meetups where we have a really engaging pre-race and post-race show along with the screening of the race itself in Mumbai. We're trying to bring this up to other Indian cities as well, so follow us on social media for more information on where our next event is going to be and how you can register. But it would be amazing to have you there to talk Formula One with us and be a part of our Formula One community. In case you liked this episode, which I think you would because you're here at this stage, please feel free to subscribe to the Inside Line F1 podcast and also to share it with any friends or family members who might love it as well. See you very, very soon for our other special episodes. And take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Be honest. Since you got up this morning, have you done anything new? Tried any new foods? Listened to new music? Or taken a new route? The good news is, the day isn't over.
Hey Lexus, turn it up.
And the reinvented Lexus RX is definitely something new, with heart-pounding design, intelligent technology, and the first ever RX 500h performance hybrid. Never lose your edge with the all-new Lexus RX. Click the banner to discover more. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.